We only have 12 minutes. This reminds me of the meetings that I always had with the executive team when I got invited in, being in charge of quality. The CEO would invite me and he'd say, okay, keep your presentation to a half an hour. So by the time they got around to me, he'd say, you have 5 minutes. So it seems like that's what I'm working with. Okay, so I'm going to go through a little bit of the dynamics of specifications in Canada, just so you get an understanding and appreciation of how significant Doug's contributions are necessary and what they've been. So Canada's population of 44 million people, it's fourth largest by land mass. 60% of the population is in Ontario and Quebec. Only 6 cities greater than 1 million people, so everybody's kind of dispersed, and 90% live within 100 kilometers of the border, and 50% of statistics that you hear are not true. So you guys figure, I'll leave you to figure that math out. You know, Jason, I didn't put an equation out, but you can actually substitute one in here. So the interesting thing with the specifications in Canada, I'm going to go this way. They're very, very small committees. So there's this is C9. This is our concrete committee, and this is our largest committee. So you've got general interest, maximum 7. So 7, we have 9 in the producer interest, 7 in the service professional, 8 in the raw materials, supplier interest, and cement's under there too. That's where I am. And you've got the user interest, and then you've got your associate members. So for all of Canada, you've got 38 voting members and 20 associate members, 58 members on the committee for all of Canada CSA specifications. Moving forward to the cement specifications, even smaller. 22 voting, 19 associate. Really, really, really small. Why is that significant? We are balanced by voting interest. Voting members must attend the annual meetings, no exceptions. You can get an exception if you want, but you have to contact the chair, and you have to get special dispensation to not attend. You have to attend. Voting members must vote, either affirmative or negative. No abstentions. We don't have something called an abstention. It's either you're with it or you're against it. And if you're against it, you make sure that you post your negative. And they must all be resolved. Documents are revised every 5 years. We do publish amendments now that we've reached the digital age, and we can get an amendment for a reduced cost, because it's a tremendous cost to do this. So it's a really, really small group of people who are responsible for all the specifications. And if you're going to get the specifications evolving, you better do it right. It has to be done right. So the cycle, the code cycle, we work within a code cycle. So the cement specifications are typically done first, published first, and then the concrete specifications are subsequent to that, and they adopt the current revision. The CSA specifications are then adopted into the National Building Code. Now, during this process, Nick reminded me of it, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that each one of these cycles requires public review as well. So CSA goes into the NBC, and then provincial codes or individual codes, commercial specifications, adopt the National Building Code. The municipal specifications and city codes, city codes and specifications and then city follow. So it's a streamlined process. We don't go from let's call it ASTM, to different states with different ideas, and it goes, I don't like that one, I'm going to write my own specification. It doesn't work that way in Canada. If you're going to do it, you're going to be involved in it. So we have academia, we've got the cement and concrete producers, we've got the ministries of transportation, MTO, MTQ, Alberta, BC. We cover it, province to C to C basically, and everybody's active, everybody's involved, because you get one shot at this, and you better get it right. So we rely on one another to get it right. And that's why we work so closely together. That's why we go fishing together. And that's why we're always seen at dinner together, because we need to get it done right if we're going to get it done. So there's a group at the Mactaquac project. And another one, and I can't remember who showed that. I think it was Ted. Showed this with the exposure blocks that Mike Thomas had out at the Mactaquac site as well. We get together and we basically resolve all our issues. And we like to get to know one another on a personal level so that we can have these conversations. One of the things that people joke about is how we get together in the hospitality suite. When we get together at the CSA specifications, we have a hospitality suite and everybody's there. Well, everybody. Well, you might have 40 people from the cement specifications in a room, and you've got maybe 60 people-ish, 50-something, from the concrete specifications. But we're all talking about, well, we're talking about where we're going to go for dinner and, what Doug ate the night before, or what his dessert looked like. Of course, we do that type of stuff. But we like to enjoy one another's company, and we resolve the issues. We talk about strategies. We look forward to doing research because, as Nick said, I believe it was Nick that said it, you don't do testing for the sake of testing. The testing has to have a purpose, and it has to be put into practice somehow. So, and that's what we like to do. That's how we work. I never told you the first time I met Doug. It was my first or second year at St. Mary's Cement, and Bill Asselstein handed me now, I'd gone to the University of Toronto and played hockey there. I was president of the Athletic Association, and I'd been everywhere, but we never crossed paths at all because he was in civil engineering, I was in chem. So Bill Asselstein hands me a check. It was for the concrete building test, or the competition that they were having, and we were sponsoring it. I can't remember whether it was, Bill couldn't remember whether it was the ACI chapter that sponsored it, and he was responsible for that, or whether it was St. Mary's. I think it was St. Mary's giving you the check that day. So that's when we became friends, because I gave him a check. And I don't know what happened after that. I mean, we just seemed to get along. Doug was a really personable guy, and he really, like I said earlier on, he's out there, he's communicating with everybody. He never felt like he was above you. He talked the same level. And we just seem to get along. And I've really enjoyed the years that we've spent together. He's always been the go-to guy, and he still is the go-to guy. The industry, we all have laboratories. We all do research, because my philosophy is nobody knows our product better than we do, from the cement side to the concrete side. But we need to work with the third parties, because we need to convince everybody. Everybody's got to be on board. So we've never had any problem with transparency, with sharing the information. We share our laboratories, our resources. We're always working together, because we see it as a necessity on the Canadian side. And we often collaborate with guys like Doug and others. His thirst for knowledge continues to take him around the world, and I think he likes first class and traveling and dinners too. But the world experiences always come back, and we always visit those. We always study those to see whether they're applicable in our world. A few honors. I'm not going to go through these because it's getting too close to dinner, and I've only got 3 minutes left. So lots of recognitions here, way too many to mention. From the Bryant Mather that was talked about earlier on, all the way down to Fellow of the ACI in '89, CSA Award of Merit, which is, again, is one of the highest standards. So he's received these highest awards of recognition at ASTM C1, ASTM C9, CSA, cement standards, concrete standards. His resume is, or his CV, it's not a resume, it's a CV for Doug. I think there were 150 publications, maybe even more. It was a ridiculous number. And the only time expansion is good is if he catches a bigger fish. Otherwise, Doug is always looking to minimize expansion. So anyhow, just concluding, durability, prediction, long-term performance. That's one of the things that that Doug has contributed to. Again, I mentioned it earlier on in the previous session. We've got CSA was one of the first specifications for mitigating ASR. We continue to lead in sulfate resistance and mitigation. We have performance specifications based on exposure class, incorporating strength, the water cement ratio, permeability, and we're not done yet because of sustainability. We got a long way to go to be net zero. There's always a way to look for a better solution. This is one of the things that drove me crazy. At his camp, he had these piddly little clay bricks, so we gave him a nice refractory brick from a kiln. And that allows Parks to get his chainsaw going and put larger fires on that, because my wife wouldn't let that fire go anywhere closer to my daughter. And that's it. Thank you.